90% of the bathroom fans I've inspected weren't venting outside. They were dumping hot, wet air straight over your head. There's a good chance that every shower you take is fogging up the underside of your roof. You don't see it. You don't smell it. Not yet. But the moisture is landing on cold wood and cold nails, and it's doing quiet damage that costs thousands to undo. Today I'll show you exactly what the wrong way looks like and the right way to fix it for about $40. Let me put you in a house I know. You're standing in a second-floor bathroom in a 15-year-old house outside Columbus. It's January. Somebody just took a shower an hour ago, and the mirror's still got that ghost of fog around the edges. You reach up and flip on the exhaust fan. It hums. It's not loud, it's not quiet, it just runs. You feel a little air move on your fingers when you hold them near the grill. To you, that means it's working. The bathroom clears out in 20 minutes. Everything seems fine. The paint on the ceiling looks clean. The towels dry overnight. There's no reason on earth to think anything's wrong. Now come with me up into the attic. There's a pull-down ladder in the hallway. Up top it's cold, maybe 30 degrees, and the insulation is that pink fiberglass laid between the joists. You've got a flashlight. You point it toward the spot above the bathroom, and there it is. A gray plastic hose, the flexible kind, the accordion-ribbed stuff. It runs off the back of the fan housing and it goes about 3 feet, and then it just ends. The end of it is lying on top of the insulation, pointed up at the roof deck like a little garden hose somebody dropped and walked away from. That's the whole installation. The fan pulls the wet air out of the bathroom, pushes it up that 3-foot hose, and lets it go in the attic. Not outside. Inside. Just a different inside. And here's what that air does. You shine the light up at the roof sheathing, the plywood right under the shingles. In the summer, it looked fine. In January, when it's cold, you can see it. The nails coming through the deck have little rings of frost on them, gray crystals grown right on the metal. The wood along the ridge has gone dark, a tea-stained brown that fresh plywood never has. And in one low corner, where the roof meets the exterior wall, there's a black speckle spreading across the wood like someone flicked a paintbrush. That's mold. That's your shower, one steam cloud at a time for 15 years. And if you put your face close, there's a smell up here that shouldn't be in an attic. A damp, earthy root cellar smell. That's the wood telling you it's been wet a long time. In 35 years and over 10,000 inspections, I stopped being surprised by this somewhere around house number 400. But I never stopped being annoyed by it, because it's one of the cheapest things in the whole house to do right, and almost nobody does. Let me walk you through the autopsy piece by piece, because the failure is never just one thing. It's a chain of shortcuts, and each link makes the next one worse. First, the fan itself. A cheap builder-grade fan claims to move about 50 cubic feet of air a minute, and half of that number is a lie because of what happens downstream. You want a real fan rated at 80 to 110 CFM for a normal bathroom, something with a sound rating under 1.5 sones, so you'll actually run it. The cheap one is a bare motor with a plastic squirrel cage fan and a stamped metal housing. $15 at the warehouse store. It works technically the day it's installed. Pull the grill off one of these after 10 years and you'll find the blades caked with gray felt, a solid 1/4 inch of dust and lint packed into every fin. That fan isn't moving 50 anymore. It's moving 30, maybe less, and grinding its bearings doing it. Second, the duct. This is where the crime really lives. The guy paid by the job and not by the hour grabs whatever's on the truck, and what's on the truck is that flexible foil and plastic accordion hose. It's cheap, it bends around anything, and it's terrible. Every ridge in that ribbed wall grabs the air and slows it down, like dragging your hand along a washboard. A 4-inch flex duct with 3 bends in it can cut your fan's real airflow in half. So your 100 CFM fan is now moving 50, and your 50 CFM builder fan is moving about 25, which is barely enough to clear a candle. And I've seen worse. I've seen that flex hose crushed flat where somebody stacked a box of Christmas ornaments on it, and I've seen it kinked into a hairpin, Because the run was 6 inches too long and nobody wanted to trim it. Air can't turn a corner like that. It just backs up and gives up. Third, and this is the big one, the termination. Where does the duct actually end? In the wrong house? It ends in the attic, like the one we just looked at. Or it's clamped to a soffit vent, which is the vent under your eaves designed to let air into the attic. So the fan blows moisture right back into the vent that's trying to dry the attic out. Genius. Or the worst version, the duct runs to a roof cap but nobody sealed the connection at the collar, so half the wet air leaks into the attic on the way out, and the homeowner swears up and down it vents outside because they can see the cap on the roof. It does vent outside, just not all of it. The right part costs almost nothing. A rigid metal roof cap or wall cap with a backdraft damper runs $20 to $30. A run of smooth wall rigid metal duct is about $4 for a 2-foot section. Foil tape, the real kind rated for HVAC, not fabric duct tape, is $8 a roll. The whole difference between poison and correct is maybe $40 in parts. Now let's talk about what the shortcut actually costs you, because $40 saved on the install turns into real money. Watch this chain. 1 roll of foil tape, $8 not used. That's the micro cost. Here's the macro consequence. Wet air condenses on the roof deck all winter. The plywood soaks it up. Over a few years, the sheathing delaminates, meaning the layers of the plywood peel apart like a wet paperback and it loses its strength. You can push a screwdriver through it. Now you've got mold growing on the wood, which is a health issue and a real estate issue, because a home inspector like me writes that up and it kills your sale. Mold remediation in an attic runs $2,000 to $6,000. If the sheathing's gone soft, you're redecking part of the roof, and now you're paying a roofer to pull shingles, replace plywood, and reshingle. That's another $3,000 to $8,000, and it doesn't stop at the roof. Wet insulation loses its R value. Damp fiberglass insulates about as well as a wet sweater. So your heating and cooling bills creep up, quietly, $10 or $15 a month, because the attic you paid to insulate isn't doing its job. That's $150 a year bleeding out because nobody spent $8 on tape. And there's a slower killer too. That moisture doesn't just sit on the deck. It works its way down into the framing, into the top plates of your walls, and in a bad case, it rusts out the very nails and connectors holding your roof to your house. I've seen truss plates orange with rust in a 15-year-old home. So the fan runs fine, the mirror clears, and meanwhile the house is quietly eating itself above your head. That's the part that gets people. There's no alarm, there's no leak in the ceiling, there's just a bill, years later, that seems to come out of nowhere. Now, stay with me, because the next part decides whether you spend $40 once or $40,000 on a roof you replaced 10 years early. Why does this happen? The mechanism is simple physics, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Warm air holds moisture. Your shower loads the bathroom air with water vapor. The fan grabs that warm, wet air and moves it. As long as that air stays warm and keeps moving, the moisture stays as vapor, invisible, harmless. The problem is the destination. When that warm, wet air hits the cold surfaces of a winter attic, the roof deck and the nails, it cools instantly. Cold air can't hold the moisture, so the water comes out of the air and lands on the wood as condensation. Same thing that happens on the outside of a cold glass of iced tea in July. The attic is the glass, and your shower is filling it up, 3 or 4 times a day, every day, all winter long. So here's the rule, and I want you to write it on the inside of your skull. Bathroom exhaust goes outside the building envelope, through the roof or through a wall. Never into the attic, never into a soffit, never into the space between floors. Outside. Always outside. No exceptions. Now let me show you the right way, start to finish. The way I'd want it done in my own house. You start at the fan. Pick a unit sized for the room. The rough rule is 1 CFM per square foot of bathroom, then bump it up if you've got high ceilings or a separate toilet room. A 90 square foot bathroom wants a 100 CFM fan minimum. Buy the quiet one. A fan you can't hear is a fan you'll actually leave running, and running it is the whole point. And run it longer than you think. Leave it going 20 minutes after the shower, because the moisture doesn't leave with the steam you can see. It hangs in the air and soaks into the drywall and the grout long after the mirror clears. A cheap timer switch, $15, solves that. Next, the duct, and this is where you win or lose. Use rigid metal duct, the smooth galvanized pipe. 4 inches for most fans, 6 inches if the fan calls for it. Never neck it down. If your fan has a 4-inch collar, you run 4-inch duct, not 3. Every reducer is a choke point. Keep the run as short and as straight as you can. Every 90-degree elbow costs you airflow like 15 feet of straight pipe, so plan the route before you cut anything. If you can get to an outside wall with 2 elbows instead of 4, take that path even if it's a foot longer. Slope the duct slightly downhill toward the outside, or if it has to go up to a roof cap, keep it steep so any condensation inside the pipe drains out instead of running back into the fan and dripping on your ceiling. I've been called out for a phantom ceiling leak that was just a bath fan draining itself backward. Then, the connections. Every joint gets sealed. You screw the pipe together with 3 short sheet metal screws per joint, spaced evenly around the collar. Then you wrap every seam with foil tape and burnish it down hard with your thumb or the edge of a putty knife so it grabs. Not cloth duct tape. Cloth duct tape is the great lie of the hardware world. It dries out and falls off in 2 years, and I've peeled ribbons of it off failed joints in 100 attics. Foil tape or mastic. Those are the 2 right answers, and mastic is the better of the 2 if you don't mind getting your hands dirty. Here's the step nobody does, and it matters. Insulate the duct. Wrap the metal pipe in duct insulation, the foil-faced kind, all the way to where it exits. Why? Because a bare metal pipe running through a cold attic is itself a cold surface. The wet air condenses inside the pipe before it ever gets out, and now you've moved your moisture problem from the attic into the duct, where it pools and drips and rots the fan housing. Insulate the pipe, and the air stays warm all the way to the exit. This one step separates a good install from a great one, and it's $10 of wrap. Finally, the termination. The duct connects to a dedicated cap that goes through the roof or through the gable wall. Not a soffit vent. A dedicated cap. Its own hole, its own damper. That cap has a backdraft damper, a little flap that opens when the fan pushes air out and closes when it's off, so cold air and critters don't come back in. Go check that flap moves freely before you install it, because I found them painted shut right out of the box. You seal around the cap with roofing sealant so it doesn't leak rain. Done right, you can stand in the attic on the coldest day of the year and put your hand near that fan and feel nothing. No warm draft, no damp. All that moisture is outside where it belongs. Now the good, better, best, with real numbers. Good. You keep your existing fan if it's decent and moves enough air. You replace the flex duct with rigid metal, seal every joint with foil tape, and run it to a proper cap. Parts about $40 to $60. A weekend afternoon if you're comfortable in an attic. Better. New quiet fan rated 100 CFM, rigid insulated duct, new roof or wall cap with a damper, everything sealed, and a timer switch at the wall. Parts, around $150 to $250. This is the sweet spot for most houses, and it's where I'd land in my own home. Best. A high-end fan with a built-in humidity sensor that turns itself on when the moisture climbs, and off when it clears. So it runs exactly as long as it needs to and not a minute more. Insulated rigid duct, dedicated roof cap, and the whole thing balanced to the room. Parts and a good installer, $400 to $600. Worth it if you've got a big master bath, a steam shower, or you've already had a moisture problem once and never want it again. Here's the honest limitation. If your run has to travel more than 15 or 20 feet, or take 3 or 4 turns to reach an outside wall, no amount of rigid duct fixes weak airflow completely. The fan just can't push that far. At that point, you need an inline fan, a unit that mounts in the middle of the duct run and pulls hard from a distance instead of pushing from the ceiling. That's a different job and a different budget. And here's your Call a Pro line. If getting to the roof means walking on a steep or high roof, or if you're cutting a new hole through the roof deck and shingles, call a licensed roofer. A botched roof penetration leaks, and a roof leak costs more than every dollar this fix saves. Cutting through your roof is not the place to learn. Let me tell you about a house in Michigan. Buyer's inspection, older couple downsizing. Nice house. 10 years old, well kept, fresh paint, new carpet. I get in the attic and the whole north slope of the roof deck is stained dark, with mold blooming along 2 rafters like frost on a window pane. Both upstairs bath fans dumped straight into the attic through flex hose lying on the insulation. The sellers had no idea. They'd run those fans every day for a decade, feeling good about it, doing exactly what they were supposed to. The numbers. The mold remediation came in at $3,200. The soft section of sheathing they had to replace. Another $2,100 with the roofing. Call it $5,300, plus the deal nearly fell apart over it, and the sellers had to drop their price to save it. The fix that would have prevented all of it, done at construction, was 2 proper caps and insulated duct. About $90 in parts and an hour of a framer's time when the attic was still open and easy to work in. $90 or $5,300. That was the whole choice, and nobody knew they were making it. That's the deal with this stuff. You pay today a little, on your terms, with the lights on and time to do it right. Or you pay years from now a lot on the roofer's schedule right when you're trying to sell. The house doesn't send you a warning. It just keeps a tab, and it always collects. The HVAC guys are going to disagree with me in the comments about flex duct versus rigid. Let them. I only report what I find, and what I find in the attic doesn't lie. So do me a favor. Next dry, cool morning, put your head up in the attic with a flashlight and find where your bathroom fan actually goes. Then tell me 2 things down in the comments. Tell me your state and your winter, because cold climates get hit hardest by this. And if you found that gray hose just lying on the insulation, tell me how long a run it was and where it was pointed. I read every one of them. And here's what I want you thinking about tonight. If that fan's been venting into your attic for 10 years, what's the exhaust from your kitchen range? Hood been doing all this time?